It's just a fascinating experience to be able to see God's creation from this vantage point.
I can't say it any better than what Jeff just shared with you, but as we go through our working day, one of the treats is to be able to build up enough time ahead of the schedule that they planned for us so we can just simply go and look out the window and take pictures. It is that beautiful. It is that beautiful.
All right, so we've been broadcasting this event over the radio for the past few days, and okay, well, we were broadcasting the event over the radio, and one of our listeners wanted to know what it is like for PT for you guys that far up there in a weightless environment.
One of the nice things being in orbit is that we can lift a lot of weight. I mean, we can push around tons of weight up here, so that's kind of cheating. So how do you actually lift weights? How do you actually run? And so we have to use other forces other than gravity to help us. For instance, when we're lifting weights on our weightlifting machine, it's called the Advanced Resistive Exercise Device. We're actually pushing against or pulling against a vacuum that we actually build up in big cylinders. And we can do some serious weightlifting on that device. And running, we have a treadmill, and it's just like any other treadmill, except we've got these long bungee cords that weigh us down and allow us to make contact and not float away off of the treadmill. And we also have a bicycle. So each day we're supposed to be doing 2 hours or more of exercise. And the exercise is not only for our own general fitness, but it's also a countermeasure to the atrophy that we suffer when we're up here, as well as the bone loss that we suffer up here.
Does anybody else have a question? Sure.
Specialist Frower from the 550th Air Support Medical Company at Fort Bragg. My question is, do you guys ever get the chance to call home to your families?
That's a great question, and I know it's a subject that's near to dear to your all's hearts as well, because you want to stay in contact with the family. And obviously in the situation that you're in, you're limited to be able to do that. We actually have pretty good resources on board to do that. We have the equivalent of a voice over IP telephone system that obviously goes through the communication system we have here on the space station, but we can call anywhere on Earth, and we typically call our family every day. Once a week or so, we usually on the weekend, on a Sunday, we have a video teleconference with our family back home. We also have email capability where we can, it's not as quick as it is on the Earth, but we synchronize the email about 3 times a day, so we're able to stay in contact that way. And then people send us electronic greetings through video and other means as well that we get periodically. So overall, we're able to stay in pretty close contact with our friends and family.
All right, anybody? Oh, sure, sir, right here.
How you doing, Lieutenant Mercinger from Houston, Texas? I noticed both of y'all are wearing 2 wristwatches. Could you please explain what the second device is for?
Yeah, that's a great question. We, you know, the old saying is a man with 2 watches never knows what time it really is. We actually have a real live watch that we use that's synchronized to the GMT time, and we're living on Greenwich Mean Time. But the other black device that we have is an activity watch. It's a light sensor, a photodiode, and a little mini accelerometer. And some of the researchers are taking a look at our activity during the day and how active we are versus how restful our sleep is, and they watch the light and activity cycles to see if we're getting a proper amount of rest, if we get disturbed at night. So they're tracking our behavior basically.
Okay, any more questions on this side? Sure, sir.
Lieutenant Kalich with 32nd Infantry Brigade Combat Team, Wisconsin, Army National Guard. I was just asking if either of you two have experienced EVA and if we could get some first-hand accounts on what that's like.
Yeah, I've been outside 3 times, not during this stay on the space station, but the last time I was up here 3.5 years ago, I went out once in a Russian spacesuit and once in a U.S. spacesuit. And then back in 2000, I went out once on a shuttle flight in the U.S. spacesuit. It's an incredible experience. It's one thing to be able to look out the window here and see the Earth and whatnot. It's another thing to actually go outside. And you yourself in a spacesuit are a spacecraft in itself. It's complete with life support systems, power systems, comm systems, etc., to keep you alive and functional outside. The work outside is incredibly challenging, not unlike a lot of what you do. It's a lot of heavy lifting. You're outside for quite a while, usually 6.5 hours or more. You're in the suit about 8.5 or 9 hours. So it's a long day, but it's a highlight of the entire experience.
Okay, any questions on this side? Sir.
Hey there, Sergeant Ron Wiedeberg, 318th Public Affairs Office, Operations Center. I noticed you guys kind of look like you're upside down. How does your bodies react to that? Like your cardiovascular, like does the blood rise to your feet, or does it rise to your head, or just stay still?
Good question.
That's a great question. The truth is that there really is no up and down up here because everything's weightless. When we first launch on the Russian spacecraft and you go weightless, there tends to be a shift of fluids from the lower legs up into the chest and head area, and you tend to see people with moon faces and they get puffy and all the fluid tends to go in that direction. But now once we've adjusted, up and down don't matter to us, and it really doesn't have the blood flow rush that you're referring to.
Interesting. Yes, Captain, back here.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Captain Sherman, First ID Military Transition Team. We communicate a lot with our military partners on the Iraqi side pretty much every day. What is it like working with the Russian partners on the space station every day? What are the challenges? Any funny things happen?
Well, actually, that's one of the most rewarding aspects of the entire experience as well. Both Colonel Creamer and I have worked with the Russians now for over 10 years or so. We've spent a lot of time in Russia. The biggest challenge, of course, is learning the language, each other's language, so that you can, as you know very well, develop a relationship of trust. But we've become close friends with many of our Russian colleagues, particularly our crewmates. We do trust each other. Like I said, the language is the toughest part of the whole experience, but once you've got some level of ability at the language, it just opens the doors wide open for those relationships. So we've had a great experience working with the Russians overall, both on an individual level as well as a corporate level.
The other thing I'd like to emphasize is that our Russian compadres here on station, I can easily count among my best friends. The humor is really good in both languages. The care, the self-care and the caring for your buddy is also extremely good. And I have absolutely total faith in everything we're doing. The interesting background is, I got commissioned in '82, and at that time we were still in the Cold War, pre-wall coming down, and who had ever thought that we would actually be flying on a Russian vehicle together as equal partners, with their extreme experience in space, and to some degree their extreme experience on heavy lifting to space stations in space has been wonderful working with these guys. They're really, really super folks. Really, really super folks.
All right, any more questions on this side? Yes, sir.
Major McCray from Florence, South Carolina, 12th Military Police Command, Fort Meade, Maryland, and the 318th Public Affairs Operations Center. My question is, how do your many years of experience